In a moment, we'll hear from Harriet Hadfield about the latest security fears around the tunnel. First, her main report.
Christmas Day and another attempt to break free from the Calais camp and make their way to Britain. The French police respond quickly.
Where are you going?
I'm going to the train.
To the train?
Train, yeah.
Everybody from the camp?
Yeah, yeah.
What are you doing in the jungle? Jungle for animals, not for us.
Jungle's for animals, not for you.
Yeah.
So where does everyone want to go to now?
To UK.
To UK. And how are you going to get there?
But we don't know, we try.
Everyone together?
Yeah, together.
The migrants say it's getting harder and harder now to cross the channel. The trains are well protected, so lorries have become targets of violent and sometimes armed attacks. This is the place they want to leave. Squalid conditions, it's muddy, damp and cold. People queue on makeshift floats for an appointment at the first aid caravan. Inside, they've run out of cough medicine. In the camp, there's a nasty cold going round.
Does he have a cough as well?
Yeah.
And nose?
Yeah.
Is it blocked?
No for this.
Volunteer medic Iri is spending Christmas here. Her patient Ali has a badly bruised knee.
You don't have socks. Do you want socks?
She says the most common complaint is some form of injury.
There's razor wire fences that they have to climb up over, again, to get either onto the lorries here or onto the trains. And so you get some really horrible, nasty, deep cuts and infected wounds, again, because there's very little provisions for keeping them clean.
And it keeps you busy?
Yeah. I mean, there's always a queue from the moment I open up, yeah.
This was one of the few signs of Christmas we could find. Not surprising, much of the camp is Muslim. But in the Eritrean quarter, we find St. Michael's Calais, open to all. Majid says he was badly beaten by the French police.
And he beat me, punched me.
Now he can only use his notebook to communicate his pain.
Police are beat me, two police are beat me. Here, our face with jaw.
And now he can't speak and he can't eat?
Yeah. Now he cannot speak, eat.
It's hard to imagine how somewhere like this can exist within the European Union, just 30 miles away from the English coastline. But it is that proximity that has led to increasingly desperate, sometimes violent attempts to cross the channel to get to Britain.
And that's why breakaway attempts will continue, probably daily. It puts pressure on the authorities and the local residents. But at this time of year, it's clear. Surely this is no way for anyone to live. There must be a better solution than this. Harriet Hadfield, Sky News, Calais.
Where did you come from?
I want to build a new future.
Syria is a war.
Where are you going?
Germany, Sweden.
My journey started in Serbia, just a few hundred yards away from the Hungarian border, and I crossed with this man, walking with a stick in the pouring rain. He was making incredibly slow progress across the border. I think for me this picture sums up really the journey that so many thousands of people have made.
My name is Fadi. I'm Syrian, I'm from Damascus. I'm going any place can find a new home.
People arrived into Hungary to what was called a holding area. It was an absolute mud bath. We saw children running around, playing in the mud, others crying, clothes that had been brought by volunteers but weren't needed or that had got soaked by the rain just lying on the ground. From the holding area, people queued for buses. Where are you going on this bus? Do you know?
Please go take us inside.
Inside?
Yeah.
They were being taken to the makeshift refugee camps that had been set up on the border, and as I walked along the perimeter fence of one of them, people, children, adults, pressed themselves up against the wire fence. Hello.
Hello. Hello, how are you?
I love to my friends in Syria.
Do you miss your friends?
Yes.
How much?
Very.
For those that managed to avoid the police, it was just under a 200-kilometre journey. Many did it by foot to Budapest, the capital, and the railway station. When I arrived first thing in the morning, this man was making the most of the facilities on offer. Downstairs in the underpass under the station, it had become a tented village of refugees. I asked this boy if I could take his picture, and he nodded. And then as the day went on, queues formed to board the trains that would take them to the Austrian border.
You want the train to be full of people?
Yes, we have got 2 minutes, only 2 minutes.
As the trains were unloaded in Heges-Helon, it was a 3-kilometre walk across to the Austrian border and Nickelsdorf.
Baby.
Water. At the border crossing, volunteers were giving out food and drink, with priority given to women and to children. Another day, another train station, and Vienna was packed with people boarding trains to what would be, for many of them, their final destination, to Germany. But there was sadness and anger too, as I met this woman from Kobani who was pregnant. She told me how she'd been beaten by the police in Hungary.
No good, Hungary. No good.
So many people I met along this journey told me they wanted to go to Germany because they wanted freedom. But now they've arrived, they still face an uncertain future.
In the village of Ballater, the clean-up from last week's flooding will take months. But just days on, they're already preparing for more misery. 20 centimetres of rain forecast, and it keeps coming down. Emergency workers have spent the past 24 hours building a makeshift flood defence, a 250-metre-long wall made from 800 giant sandbags. It's been a painstaking process to put each of the 1-ton bags in place. But to many living here, it's a few days too late. This part of the village, now protected by the new wall, is already mostly destroyed by floodwater. Robert and his partner's daughter Rebecca have just returned to their house to see if anything is salvageable.
It's hard to bear. Now I can sympathise with Cumbria and all that. And you sit here thinking, oh my God, it never happened to us. And then it does. It's heartbreaking, very much so.
These images from Wednesday give some idea of what caused the damage. A water surge strong enough to pick up caravans and other debris, sweeping them into the river. Now, 4 days after the storm, people are returning to survey the damage.
Every single one of these caravans has been destroyed. There is no point in trying to protect this, which is a good thing, because if the floodwater comes and it's diverted down the sandbag wall, this is probably where it would end up.
50 miles south in Blairgowrie, the river is already dangerously high, and preparations are being made in case it overflows. As the rain continues to fall, and with flood warnings and alerts across eastern Scotland, no one here in the village of Ballater is prepared to take the risk of being inundated once again. Harriet Hadfield, Sky News, Ballater in Aberdeenshire. What's the secret to the perfect gin cocktail? Ice, obviously, precision and plenty of pouring. Gin's undergone something of a revival over the past 5 years as dedicated distilleries and bars pop up across the UK. At the London Gin Club in Soho, they serve 280 different brands of gin. But why has the drink become so popular?
It's very refreshing and it goes with loads of different things.
It's very easy to drink and it's got lovely flavours, certainly when you mix it with the right tonic.
It's definitely my favourite spirit, it always has been, and the fact that there are so many different varieties now makes it my go-to drink.
The Sipsmith distillery has been right at the forefront of the revival. Launched in a garage in 2009 before moving to this new premises last year, it was the first copper still to launch in London in almost 200 years.
We wanted to be that pioneer, that sort of kickstarter, but I don't think we could have ever dreamed of seeing the growth explosion of gin that has taken place in, 5-6 years since we started? It's been amazing.
An advantage to making gin is the relatively quick distillation, a process that takes neat alcohol, flavours it with botanicals and reduces it to a still eye-watering alcohol content of around 40%. Britain is now the biggest exporter of gin in the world, with international sales up 37% over the past 5 years. UK sales of the stuff have increased by £150 million in the last 2 years. That's up 20%. 73 new distilleries were set up in the UK between 2010 and 2014, with 56 set up in the past 2 years.
It's the second time this country's been in the grip of a gin craze. In the 18th century, there were more than 1,500 stills in London alone, but back then it was blamed for a crisis of drunkenness and debauchery.
That crisis was famously depicted in William Hogarth's Gin Lane, printed in 1751. Alcohol historian Jane Peyton says the industry has now successfully shaken off the spirit's reputation as mother's ruin.
It's had an image overhaul, it's had a 360-degree turn on who drinks it, where they drink it, why they drink it. Nowadays there are laws regulating how gin can be made and what it contains. In the early days, during the gin frenzy and the gin craze, there were no laws as such, so you could put anything into gin, poisons, toxins, and it didn't taste the way it did now for sure.
This latest gin boom shows no sign of slowing, and even with health warnings about drinking in moderation, at this festive time of year it seems pretty certain the profits for UK distilleries will keep pouring in. Harriet Hadfield, Sky News, West London.